What if I told you that one of the first robots in history wasn't created in Silicon Valley or in a 20th century lab, but in a royal court in 16th century Spain? Today, when we think of robots, we imagine sleek machines, artificial intelligence, and futuristic labs. But long before the modern age, centuries before electricity or programming languages, humans were already dreaming of mechanical life. And in at least one case, they actually built it. Let me introduce you to something you probably never learned in school. El automata monje, the clockwork monk. The year is 1560. King Philip II of Spain, deeply religious and devoted to Catholic ritual, is desperate. His son, Don Carlos, has just fallen down a flight of stairs and suffered a near-fatal head injury. The court prays, doctors are called, and vows are made. One such vow: if the prince recovers, the king promises to commission a miracle. The miracle came in the form of a man named Juanelo Turriano, a brilliant Italian-Spanish clockmaker and engineer. Turriano wasn't just fixing timepieces, he was designing astronomical models, water pumps, and mechanical wonders that few could understand. When he was called upon by the king, he was tasked with building something never before seen: a life-sized, fully mechanical monk that could walk, bow, beat its chest, move its lips in prayer, and raise a crucifix to its mouth, all on its own. And he did it. The automaton stood about 15 inches tall, dressed in the robes of a Franciscan friar. Inside its body was an intricate network of gears, springs, cams, and levers. No wires, no batteries, no electricity. Wound up by a key, the monk would take measured steps, rhythmically tap its chest, move its head and arms, and even simulate whispered prayers. Think about that for a moment. Over 460 years ago, a man built a programmable machine capable of coordinated human-like actions, all based on mechanical engineering alone. No computer chips, no motors, just pure physics and precision. It's not just a novelty. It's a robot, and it still works. That's right. Today, one of the few surviving versions of the Clockwork Monk can be found in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. If you ever visit, you can see it silently performing its sacred motion, a ghost of the Renaissance, still alive in metal and motion. But Turriano's monk wasn't the only marvel of its kind. A century later, in 1738, another genius named Jacques de Vaucanson took things even further. He unveiled the digesting duck, a mechanical bird that flapped its wings, drank water, and digested food, or at least appeared to. It even produced droppings. Crowds were stunned. Many believed they were witnessing something supernatural. In reality, they were witnessing the early edge of automation. These machines weren't just entertainments for kings and nobles. They were, in many ways, early experiments in biomimicry, replicating life using the tools of the day. And perhaps more importantly, they reveal something fundamental about human beings: our timeless desire to bring the inanimate to life, to create something that mimics us, to blur the line between the natural and the artificial. So why don't we hear more about these creations? Why are figures like Turriano and Vaucanson not household names? Part of the reason is that history often forgets the strange and ahead of their time. Their inventions didn't spark an industrial revolution, nor did they lead directly to the digital age. But perhaps that's what makes them so fascinating. They represent moments where human imagination leapt forward, far beyond what was considered possible. They are stories that were buried, not because they weren't true, but because they didn't fit the narrative of progress we expect. And that's why we're here, to bring these stories back, to remind you that sometimes the most advanced minds didn't belong to the future. They lived and created wonders behind the times.